Hey, in this episode, I'm going to talk to you guys about the power of forgiveness to get more done in your music career.
I spent the last 14 years playing over 1,000 shows, touring 22 different countries, and become a top 40 Billboard charting artist. I fired my record label to go out on my own as an independent artist to market and release my own music, selling thousands of albums and millions of streams. The question I always get is, how did I do it without a label and sell even more music? This podcast is here to show you the way. Join me and follow along as I learn, apply, and share marketing strategies to grow my music business and a loyal fan base.
What's going on, guys? Really stoked to chat with you about this episode. It's a different one than my regular topics, but it's because it affects everything. And I'll give you the backstory on why the power of forgiveness is so impacting to get more stuff with your music career done. And it's because I woke up this morning and there's a situation that happened with this tenant. We had a rental property somewhere. And first of all, I bought it and it was a little bit of a rushed thing. And this lady, that the people that renovated said, oh, you should renovate it nicer to make, for the long term. I'm like, okay, so let's spend a little bit more money, get it done. Cause it was a rehab or something like that, or a foreclosure. And anyways, we get a tenant in there, everything's great. Spent a little bit more money than I wanted to, but it's rented, everything is good. A few months go by, this lady files bankruptcy and totally just does a number on me and takes advantage of me for 3 months. And by the time we finally got her out, all this month's rent gone. Well, I still have to cover expenses. And then there was lawyer's fees, and I just got hit with the lawyer's fees this morning. And then she left trash on the front. So it probably cost me at least over 10 grand of lost money because of what this lady did. And I woke up to that email this morning thinking that I was going to be cash flow positive, meaning I was going to actually finally start making money or break even on this thing. And I didn't. I got hit with another bill. And I don't know if you've ever woken up and you just got hit with a bill or really bad news, or somebody just wronged you. They just really wronged you. And I, for a moment, was just starting to get really stirred up. And first of all, you shouldn't really check your email in the morning. I like to just check to make sure everything's okay. But you shouldn't check your email right away in the morning until you're awake. So I was barely awake, so I checked this. So it really bummed me out. And started to get upset and just, wanting to respond to the people that manage it to fix it and stuff like that and just whatever. But I just started to do some push-ups and I'm just I'm feeling myself get angry. And, today I got my day off. Well, not a day off. It's a work day. I work from home and I want to do some songwriting today and I want to be inspired. And guess what? I'm not going to write my best songs if I'm inside really angry and bitter and ticked off at this woman. Sure, maybe I'll be able to write a bitterness or an angry song, but it's so easy for me to get derailed and get my heart rate going and just anger. And, when you get angry and you get really upset and just riled up, I'm talking ticked off, swearing, freaking out, not only is that a waste of time, it's not healthy. And it expends even more energy. It actually takes more energy to get upset and freaking out and fighting and all these things you want to do and say and da-da-da. And I just caught myself starting to go down that road again. I was like, no, she's not taking my joy. She's not going to take my day. This is going to work out, and it will work out. It might not work out this month, it might not work out next month, but it is going to work out. And I'm not going to quit, and I'm not going to let it wreck my day. And so I felt like I should really share that with you guys because I know things happen on tour. I know things happen in the studio. I know things happen with labels and different things that people wrong you, stabbed in the back, all that stuff. And I just want to encourage you, man, choose to forgive those people and let it go and just move on, Sure, I'd love to just contact that lady and I know her name and last name and everything like that. And I'd love to just do things, you know what I mean? Hire someone to go tell her how I feel. But, I'm not going to go do that. I'm not going to waste my time on that. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to move on. And, most people that hurt people, they're just hurt people. I'm going to say it again. Most people that hurt people, they're just hurting people. Obviously the person's going through something and just has been hurt and just doesn't know that there's a better way. And so that's why you always want to treat people good and love on people. And when you do encounter situations like this, what's amazing to me is I've rarely encountered a situation like that in like the music world. Like very, very rarely have I ever been, really ripped off or taken advantage of in that regard, which is, I really believe it's just a blessing from God that he's really protected me, and just trying to use wisdom. And I'll share this with you guys too, that my wife was on board, but she wasn't like fully on board with doing this property deal thing that we decided to do. And so, husbands, listen to your wives, okay? Because God has created them differently, and they have a different type of conscience and heart thing that us guys don't have. And us guys sometimes want to just charge forward in everything we do. And if you haven't heard my story about how I re-signed to a label after my wife told me not to, I went ahead and did it anyways, and it was a really, really bad mistake. Sure, we got a nice advance and everything like that, but it was my worst selling records. Not my worst selling, but it definitely was not as successful as the one right before that. And it didn't work out very well. It really didn't. The label didn't do anything like we thought they were going to do. In fact, they ended up selling their company to somebody else during my launch. And if you've ever heard of those stories happening, but like, dude, say your record's coming out with a label, and then they're in the middle of trying to sell the company. Do you think they're focused on promoting your record and getting record sales? No, they're not. They're thinking about selling their company. And so why do you think that record didn't do that great? And all of a sudden, when I was trying to get the record back, they were like, oh, we don't own the rights anymore. It's this other company. I'm like, oh my gosh. And anyways, and guess what? I could get upset with that too and get bummed out and whatever, but no, I just move on. And, years have gone by now, and I actually own the rights to all those records actually this year. And I'm going to do something special for my podcast listeners and everyone who's on my email list, is that I'm getting my last record back this year. I think it's August 2019. I get my last record back. It's called The Moment, and the artwork is dope. The album's dope, and they own rights to it in the U.S. I control rights to it worldwide except for the U.S., but I get my U.S. rights back because the U.S. is obviously the biggest music market in the world. Doesn't mean necessarily, some artists make more money in Japan or make more money in Sweden or Germany, but for me, my biggest market is in the USA, so that's really important to get those rights back. But again, I could be upset, I could be ticked off. Oh, they wronged me, they're taking the more royalties than they should. And you know what? I know for a fact that I've never gotten reports on certain income streams that I know I'm making because I own the rights to other records. I know I never got certain royalty payments, or it definitely wasn't broken down to show me that I was for the records that they had. And again, that's an opportunity for me to get upset and angry, and they did me wrong, and or I can move on, bro. Or I can move on, girl. Whoever's listening to this, you can move on. You can let it go and go create something else. Go do something else. God's got something bigger planned for you. And whether you're a believer in Jesus or not, the power of forgiveness is huge. And letting go of people, forgiving them for how they treated you and what happened back then. Leave it in the past, because your dreams are in the future. Your life is in the future. Your next greatest song is in the future. I was sitting down with my wife yesterday, and I'm just writing all these new songs for this new record, and and we're not saying this lightly either. She's like, I think this is going to be some of the best songs you've ever written. And I said, you know what? I think so too. I think there's this one song we've written. It's just I can see it. It's not even produced yet. It's like just vocals at this point, but we just can tell with the melodies and the vibe. There's just something there, and really believe it's going to be big. And if I had gotten stuck in, the radio promoter didn't promote that album right, or didn't promote this one right, that was the hit, that was my time, that was supposed to happen there, caught up in all that, and not moved on, and I might not have had the success I've had now, because I'm just wallowing in my self-pity, wallowing in, oh, woe's me. Well, hey, a fighter isn't someone who never fails, a fighter is someone who never quits, and a fighter doesn't be a little wuss and cries all the time. Sometimes you just gotta suck it up, find that inner strength inside you to keep going, even though you've been burned, even though you've been hurt. And so I just encourage you, I love you, and just, know that God is for you, I'm for you. I'm sure there's some friends that are out there, they're for you, they care about you. I want to see you have one of the greatest years yet, because maybe 2018 was rough for you. You had a bunch of crazy things happen, crazier than me. I'm sure my story's absolutely nothing compared to what happened to you last night. But, what I like to say is that, yeah, you might have a crazier story than me, and you might be like, yeah, whatever, Manifest, whatever, Chris, it's cool, look at you, whatever. You don't know me, you don't know what I've been through, and you're right, I don't know you. I don't know what you've been through, but I do know one thing about your story, and that's that your story's not done yet. And that's because you're still writing it. You're still listening to this podcast right now, and you have the choice to write your story the way you want to write it. And so I encourage you to write through those pains, write through those difficulties, write a hit song during writing that story. And, honestly, if you don't know Jesus, if you don't know God, write him into your story. Because I'll tell you, that's one of the biggest things that has changed my life is to come to know Jesus and the power of forgiveness and the power of his love. So I hope that speaks to you. I hope that encourages you. You're loved so much, and there is an awesome calling on your life. But you just got to make sure you don't quit so that you can see it through. And pardon the pun, but so that your dreams and everything that you're called to will manifest themselves. It'll show up. It'll be exposed. It'll come to life. It'll come to fruition. But that doesn't happen if you quit. And so stay in the game, my friend, and let me know what you thought about this podcast, and have a great day. Bye.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and also leave a comment or a review and let me know how I've helped you or what other topics you want me to cover on this podcast. I always read them, and it always inspires me to hear your story. And also, if you need more music marketing help, or you just need more coaching, or you need your questions answered in a deeper way, I have a coaching program called Fanbase University. Go to fanbaseuniversity.com to sign up, because on the 12th and 24th of every month, I answer all your questions, coaching my students, plus you get access to exclusive video training on how to market your music and grow your fan base. Go to fanbaseuniversity.com and start your trial today, and I look forward to helping you grow your career. Cheers.